Stellaris is a hard game with many shadow mechanics that are so obscure that your only hope is some small footnote in the wiki. So here's 25 Stellaris tips that every player must know. 1. Turn off the tutorial. No, wait, I don't actually mean to turn them off. I meant like you enable them on the menu so you can scrap the tutorial AI. 2 extra minerals just for that. I don't know why this is a thing, but it is. Just ignore the 2. Do not diversify your planets. Specializing your planets and economy is the name of the game because the production bonus buildings increase a specific job's base production. Combined with subsidies and a specialized governor, your pops can be multiple times more efficient. What about the alternative? Well, 3. Industry district jobs can be changed. Try setting your capital's designation to a factory one, for example. It replaces your alloy jobs, so you would be drowning in consumer goods to tech rush with. Or maybe, panic! I need to make alloys now or die. 4. Never stop building. Especially in the early game, as any idle time is you falling behind. Only stop when all of your pops are working efficiently like in number 2. Of course, this will need a lot of minerals. 5. Produce energy and buy minerals. More specifically, 30 to 40 of them in the early game. This allows for a lot of flexibility since you can now either go research for long-term prospects or alloys to defend yourself. 6. Do not mass buy resources. Instead, buy monthly. This prevents the market prices from shooting up exponentially, as buying monthly allows the prices to slowly go down. 7. If you're trying to recover an empire, especially if it's burning, prioritize minerals. With deficits of every other resource, you can at least rebuild your economy. With a deficit in minerals, to have a chance of recovery, you have to buy it from the market, which will put you on a ticking time bomb. 8. Stop picking expansion! I swear, this Tradition 3 is the biggest noob trap of all. So much blabber on how good it is. But if you actually calculate the ROI, it's quite terrible. Slightly useful in the early game, but becomes very useless quite quickly, providing barely any benefit aside from the minuscule amount of pop growth, which by the way isn't even that good anymore since building slots aren't tied to pops. The extra pop from colonizing is also barely a benefit nowadays, as spamming decolonization is heavily punished, with each costing 200 influence, which in the early game is effectively a death sentence. 9. Press Ctrl plus X and then left click another empire to see what they've claimed. Very useful when suddenly you get an absolute avalanche of notifications saying someone somewhere claimed you. Just remember that Ctrl Z puts you back to the normal view. If you're allergic to hotkeys, you can just use the bottom right buttons instead. 10. Another empire will also likely have some funny ideas if you're inferior in any category to them, although not a silver bullet because depending on the empire type, they can become extremely aggressive even if you're superior in all aspects to them, which basically means you should probably pay attention to 11. Every time an empire wants to attack, there would be a funny notification warning you to get up and panic to number 3 because you don't have much time. Make alloys now or die is the basic gist of it. You should probably listen to this, otherwise you're pretty dead. 12. Use the fleet manager. Instead of clicking 100 times to get your fleet ready, you can do the same in 10 simple clicks, and you only have to set this up once. Every time you finish a fight, just press reinforce fleet and the ships you lost will find their way to their respective fleets without needing any more micro. If you want more, just copy the template and it'll duplicate your fleet's compositions and designs. 10,000 clicks managing a fleet for the whole game can simply be replaced with only a dozen. 13. Have backup shipyards. Like seriously, most people I know have this single point of failure. It's such a hilariously common sight and constitutes many game ends for players. It doesn't matter if you have 10k alloys per month if your only shipyard gets taken. On that note, 14. Build fortress habitats, especially if you're on an empire that relies on trade. If your ships are even slightly off position, you're gonna lose your entire economy and death spiral, since your trade close through systems, losing just one in the conga line might result in losing half your economy. 15. If you have the Paragon's DLC and not a militarist, pacifist, or authoritarian, the Genius Armor Destiny trait is always an option to pick. Once an Admiral hits level 8, with enough of these, you can basically hard counter enemy disruptors without ever using hardening modules. 16. Cloaked ships can't go through FTL inhibitors if at war. So yeah, if you know your neighbors got some feisty spy satellites, declare war and wipe them out. 17. Trade can go through gateways. If you're really not into managing a galactic trade empire, you can just spam gateways. No more dealing with pirates and blockades, since the trade just pops out instantly to your capital. Oh, how convenient. 18. If you're tired of being bombarded to the Stone Age, consider using the shield generator, unyielding, and adaptability for the funny negative 98% bombardment modifier. Or just buy Overlord and play Subterranean. 19. Only the host needs the DLCs. If you have a friend that made the terrible financial decision to buy all of the 20-something DLCs, you can make them host and you don't have to pay a penny. 20. Diplomatic weight as intelligence. If you're not into spying nor scouting, you can instead read an enemy's diplomatic weight and divide it by X to find their real fleet power. I have to specify that you need to read the base diplomatic weight, as the one above is usually modified by other numbers that make it inaccurate. 21. Do not trust fleet power. You can have more and still die. Now that ship designs and weapon variables are changed, this number is usually bogus in determining your chances of victory. Depending on the designs, the margin of error is around 30%. For example, disruptors are severely undercounted while strike crafts are overcounted. In this situation, you should look at the sum of naval cap, as that is likely gonna predict the battle better. 22. If you're running on a potato, download a performance mod. Do you like playing an actual video game? Wait, then why are you playing Stellaris? Then fear not, you'll be playing Minecraft soon enough. Look at them textures, they are beautiful. Or just buy a new PC, cause you're not gonna have fun past the early game. 23. Do not investigate anomalies as you find them. Instead, wait until you've set up your research and then investigate them, as the research point rewards are based on your monthly research production. 24. You don't have to always have an admiral on your fleets. As the game goes on, you're likely gonna have more and more fleets and more admirals. Likely not enough of both. But going over leader cap is extremely painful and can significantly stunt your unity income, while draining the ability of all your leaders from gaining experience. 25. The reinforcements from the reinforce button will arrive as if it's unimpeded, ignoring close borders or hostiles as long as you press reinforce. The only exception being if either your shipyards or fleets are encircled by hostile star bases, in which the option to reinforce will be unavailable. But as long as you press the funny button before this happens, you will still be able to have fleets queued and travel to you. If this is confusing, please rewind. It's complicated, okay? Thank you to Gerber, Kenji, Elijah West, and others for the generous support. It helps a lot, and you can join an exclusive Discord server and sometimes get extra scenes. See you all soon.